The next thing we need to go over is the power of 0. Anything, any number, any letter, anything to a power of 0 equals 1. Okay? So if you have W to the power of 0, the answer is 1. If you have 9 to a power of 0, that equals 1. If you have parentheses with a bunch of stuff in it, 3m plus 2m minus m to a 0 power, that is 1. The only time a 0 would be involved and the answer wouldn't be 1 is when there aren't parentheses and there's also numbers. For example, let's call this A, B, C, and D. For D, if we have 4m to the power of 0, it's not in a parenthesis. So the power of 0 is only attached to the m. The power of 0 is only attached to what it's next to. So this is 4 times 1, because m to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So the answer in this case would be 4, because there was already a 4 in front of it. So it just stays part of the answer. Yes? If it was 4 to the power of 0, that would be 1, because that would be like the 9. Yep. Okay? Okay. If we had a division problem where that came up, it would look like, Kaya, how old are you? 13? K to the 13 over K to the 13. If we subtracted that, we would have K to the 13 minus 13, right? Because we're going to bring this up. Since they're the same, there's no top or bottom. And 13 minus 13 would be K to the 0, which is 1. So K to the 13 over K to the 13 is 1. Anytime it's exactly the same on the top and the bottom, the answer will be 1 because they cancel out. Okay? We've dealt a little bit with negative numbers. So we're going to do some examples of those. If you have 8 to a negative 5 power, if it's not so much that the number is negative, the power is negative, right? If the power is negative, we can write it positive. We can change it into a positive power by moving it in our fraction. So, if I put this over 1, this is negative in my numerator, right? In my top number. So if I change it and move it down across the fraction bar into the denominator, the sign will change and it will be positive down in the denominator. This is true for all of them. It's not all of them are negative up here. It's just if you move them across the line, the sign becomes opposite. Yes? So if the direction said write this with a positive power, we would switch it to 1 in the numerator and 8 to the positive 5th power in the denominator. It moves across the fraction line. Okay? Yes?
So there won't ever be a negative on the top
So if there, wherever a negative is, you can fix it every time.
But where's the negative go?
So the negative, when it moves across the power, it's canceled out by the fact that it went through the fraction bar. Okay? Okay. Negatives can also be in the denominator, which means we would have to move it up to the numerator. Let's do one of those. Let's say that we had 1 over 5 to the negative 5th power. One over 5 to the negative 5th power. If the directions were the same, write this with a positive power. Our whole denominator has to cross through the fraction bar and go up to the top in order to change the power sign. So that means 1 goes on the bottom, and 5 to the negative or positive 5th goes on the top. It can be written just 5 to the 5th. We don't need the 1 in the denominator. Let's try a couple like this, okay? On your whiteboards.